Seventh graders, this is to help you with question 2 on CR26. On a California map, 1 inch represents 150 miles. Using this scale, find the distance that represents 2.5 inches. Okay, so I can do inches, and I'm comparing that to miles. So I'm going to go ahead and set up a proportion, inches compared to miles. So I know 1 inch is 150 miles. So they'll give you like a fact, and that fact I always put on one side of my ratio. 1 inch is equal to 150 miles. So that fact I put on one side of my ratio. It says find the distance represented by 2.5 inches. So here I have 2.5 inches. I'm like, I don't know how many miles that is. They're looking for that. Now I know something about the numerators, so I look at my numerators. I say, how do I get from 1 to 2.5? Oh, 1 times 2.5 will get me to 2.5. So what do I have to do with the 150? I multiply that 150 by 2.5. I find the most powerful thing about setting up a proportion, or for my students who go, I don't know, do I multiply? Do I divide? Well, by setting up a proportion, it works it out for you. So now I just have to do 150 times 2.5. That's 150 times 2.5. 2 times 2 is 4, and 1 more is 5. So 2.5 is the same as 5 halves. I've drawn visuals, 1, 2, and another half is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 what? 5 halves. Oops, equals 5 halves. That extra half is pretty ugly, but oh well. And so 150 is the same as 150 over 1. Now you can multiply straight across the top, straight across the bottom, or you can simplify first. I think I'll simplify first. 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 150, 75 times. Then I'll multiply straight across the top. So that's 75 times 5. I could have multiplied first and then saved my division to the end, but I chose to simplify first. 5 times 5 is 25. Put down a 5, carry a 2. 5 times 7 is 35. 375 miles. Good. 150 represents 1 inch. So I would know 2 inches would get me up to 300 miles. That's another way to think about it. So I could know that didn't work. That would, at least I know, well, 100 miles doesn't work. And you can use estimation. Each inch is 150 miles. So you could do 1 inch is 150. 1 inch is 150. A half inch would be 75 more. So this would be method 1. For those of you who need a different method, method 2. You could do 1 inch equals 150 miles. Your next inch equals another 150 miles. And your last half inch, because it's 1, 2.5 inches, well, if a whole inch is 150, a half inch would just be half of that, or 75 miles. And when you add all those together, I guarantee you get 375 miles. That's just a different option. All right, that's kind of a method I sometimes use to check myself. All right, hope that helps.